I just picked up a detailing file sander made by WEN to add to my arsenal of other power sanders. The box that it came in was just barely good enough for shipping only, so I decided to make a wooden carrying case, and it was at that point that I had an epiphany. Maybe the box could become part of the sander, like this. I think you can see where we're going here. Hi, I'm Paul, this is OpenWoodShop.com, and today I'm going to show you my latest power sander and a few mods that I've made on it so far. As I started playing with it, it seemed like it needed a side handle, you know, like you have on the side of an angle grinder, of course not so big. So I took the side cover off and found a 4mm bolt in my can of screws. I figured I would make a proper handle later, but this would be good for a test. To my surprise, the little bolt felt almost perfect, so even though I may yet make a proper looking handle, honestly, the bare bolt seems fine. The head of the sander swivels back and forth, and I haven't found that to be very useful yet, but who knows, it's a nice feature to have there anyway. It also comes with a removable dust port, and even though it doesn't really kick up a lot of dust, it's a fine dust and it blows out near your face. So with a piece of washing machine drain hose and a piece of pool noodle that I had stuffed into a junk drawer, which I knew would come in handy someday, I made an adapter for my shop vac. And with a little duct tape on the other end, it gave me a real snug fit into the dust port, because sometimes you get lucky. The variable speed, I'm sure, is a very useful feature, but so far in my limited use, I've pretty much used it at full speed only. Getting the hang of it came quick and naturally. Mostly, you just lightly lift the leading edge to avoid digging into the wood. Hacking away at a piece of pine with a new toy is fun and all, but I get it. I want to try it out on a real project, in this case, the neck of a ukulele that I'm sculpting out. Okay, so I did make a few minor digs at first, and that got my attention, but luckily there was enough extra meat on this piece, and it all worked out. I was careful, and I tried to think ahead before I did something stupid, and it turned out fine, and it didn't take very long. Okay, I'm sure everyone on YouTube would love to see me sand with my new toy for the next 30 minutes, but I'm going to move on to the box design. Nothing fancy here, I just used a scrap of plywood because I figured that there was a chance that this project could fail and I'd have to do it all over again, despite my detailed sketches. After gluing up the three sides, I began to figure out the cradles for the sander, and they got glued and nailed into place. And a doohickey to hold the sander in place. I'll figure out a more elegant latch eventually, but for now, this low-tech nail will do. Next came the ends, but before I attached them, I cut grooves in for the sliding door and made the ends wider to accommodate a handle, but also to give me a bigger platform on top for the pieces that I'll be sanding. And I put a removable dust hood over the end, which also helps to protect that part of the tool when it gets carried around. You might have noticed that the hole on top is kind of large. I made it this way in order to make getting the tool in and out easier, but I think it could have been smaller. For smaller pieces, I can cover the hole and get closer to the belt. The dust collection is not quite as good, but it's okay. So there it is, a great little tool at a great price. And the box turned out okay on the first try. For some of the things that I make, I get requests for plans, and as usual, I don't have any. But it should be pretty easy to see what I'm doing here if you're interested. And honestly, I think you can probably look at it and improve upon it. In order for plans to work, you would have to have the same tool that I'm using here. And also, as with most of these kind of things, I consider them to be prototypes. The only problem is that my prototypes are usually thought through just good enough so that I don't have to make the project over again. So it is what it is. I know others have made some of my tools and jigs, and I hope that if you make them, you'll come back and share them and your improvements with the rest of us. Anyway, as usual, thanks for following me around the shop, and now go make something.